Triple XP. Triple XP.
Have you started recording?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Started recording it when you were mentioning lubing up earlier.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Welcome to Triple XP. This is episode 14, and it's our final episode of 2020. I'm Shane, and this is Mike.
Hello.
And this week we also have Jedi with us.
Hey, everyone.
Just to quickly run through the normal stuff, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, all the other important podcast places. On this week's episode, we discuss Disney dropping the motherload. I give my impressions of Cyberpunk 2077, and we look forward to 2021. But before we get into anything, lads, I do just want to address a couple of things. Firstly, this is our finale to 2020, this episode. We do go on a 2 or 3 week break now. Our next episode doesn't drop until the second week of January, because we're all very busy for the holidays. I would say seeing family, but we're not because COVID. And that brings me on to my next point. And I just wanted to address this at the beginning of the episode, following on from our mental health episode last week. The UK, as most of our UK listeners or our UK listeners should know, have gone into a new four-tier system. That's a mouthful. As of the day that we're recording, which has obviously caused a lot of upset. And I know, Jedi, over in the States, you've got lots of different COVID rules depending on where you are and what's going on. So I just want to remind everyone out there that it's okay to be upset by everything. Your opinions can't be invalidated. And if you do need to talk, we may be a couple of strangers on podcasts, but we are here to talk if you need to. I'm tier 4 myself. Mike, you're tier 3 at the moment.
Tier 3, baby. Yeah.
Jedi is tier America.
I'm my area is purple.
Nice.
Purple is yours a color code system.
I think so, yeah. And purple apparently is bad.
Oh, so welcome to our world. But yeah, I just wanted to take a moment at the top of the episode just to remind everyone of that it's okay to be upset, frustrated, downright annoyed, particularly with the UK government and the backpedaling and the situation that's been happening, but to stay safe, look after each other. And as I say, if you do need to talk, our DMs are always open. I know Jedi's DMs are always open as well.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Mine too, for sure.
Yeah, that's all I really wanted to say on that. Have you guys got anything you wanted to add before we moved on?
Nothing really, just adding on to that. Yeah, slide in, talk to people. We're all here for everybody, right?
Yeah. I think this year in particular has been that year where everyone has been like getting in touch, and things like we use Discord a lot, and it's been like vital for like my mental health. Just keeping in touch with people and like, having someone there to talk to. So it is important.
Yeah, definitely is. As I put out in our tweet yesterday, a problem shared is a problem halved. Exactly. So get talking to friends, family, or 3 random guys on a podcast. Although there's the rest of the Triple XP team as well. If you don't want to talk to a guy, we do have Sarah. Yeah. She will always happily talk, and she's a great listener.
We also have a cheese.
Yeah, we got cheese.
We do have a cheese, and JB, but we don't know where that conversation will go.
I'll slide in there right now.
But anyway, let's move on and get on with the episode then, shall we? Before we start, are you both okay? How are you feeling in general?
Yeah, pretty good. Not too bad. Had some like disappointing COVID news obviously today, but other than that, pretty good. How about you, Jedi?
Yeah, over here, I am kind of crispy because I've been crunching for a while, but I am now on a 2-week break, so I slept in all the way till the crack of noon. I'm feeling rested. I'm happy. I'm good right now.
Good to hear. Yeah, I'm same as you, Mike. Like, it's a pretty devastating news. For us, it's like Christmas cancelled
Yeah,
because
pretty
the tier we're in is literally do not leave your house
much. Yeah,
ever. Christmas Day, anything. Don't leave your house. Don't see anyone. Don't breathe.
and then
I'm just waiting for
tier 5 next
January.
week.
Tier 5.
No breathing.
Tier 5. You're not allowed to open your windows. You're not allowed to open your blinds. Tier 6, boys on a helicopter flying around with a sniper rifle if you put your bins out. Just, I mean, you've got to laugh, otherwise you will cry. I'm not just taking the piss. It's a horrible situation, but yeah, if you don't laugh, you will end up crying about it. But yeah, anyway, let's move on to the news. Let's get cracking with it. So, Mike, do you want to start with your news story?
Yeah, mine's just a bit of an odd one that Number One Gun pointed out to me. And then, if you don't know who that is, he's like this amazing Twitch streamer artist. Twitch featured him recently. He's a great artist. He's done a lot of work for me.
He's a good artist.
But he, in his Discord, he pointed out this a modder had like an absolute mad lad of a modder had modded a SNES, like a Super Nintendo or Super NES or SNES, whatever you want to call it. I just call it a SNES because that's what I called it when I was a kid.
But it is a SNES.
It is a SNES, yeah. What would you call it, Jedi?
SNES.
Yeah, let's see. It's a very like American thing, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But he modded a SNES and put ray tracing on a Super Nintendo. And I will post a link. I know we always say that we'll post links, and I never do because I'm lazy. But
Yeah, you should.
yeah, no.
I give you these links for a reason. Every week, I'm like, "Here's the links, Mike." Hoping you're going to do what we told you
I'll
to do with them.
I'll get around to it. Well, I'll post this because it's a really interesting video. Just showing that the tech works on a SNES, and it kind of reminded me of like a Windows 98 screensaver, but it looked really cool. Some cool.
So, a question, and this is more for Jedi with his background. How difficult would that be to your understanding? Because I have literally no understanding of how ray tracing works. I know what it is. How you would implement it in any way, shape, or form, no idea.
I think the problem with it is trying to get the power. The reason why we haven't been able to have good ray tracing is because we don't have a system that can run that smoothly. So trying to go back and add the hardware and add the modding to a Super Nintendo is pretty wild. That said, I mean, the games that you're playing on the SNES or SNES, they're not that taxing, so it's doable without the amount of lifting. It's just it's still a pretty cool feat.
I mean, when you look at the video, there is I'm not using this term lightly, a fuck ton of wires coming out of the SNES.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that's a mathematical figure, isn't it?
Yeah.
A fuck ton.
It's one fuck ton of wires.
Well, I will have to check out because I've not seen anything about this. I saw your link, but I've not looked at anything. So I'll be interested in looking into this because this sounds
it's pretty cool.
absolutely mad. I bet he had a really good spreadsheet.
It's interesting, probably.
For all those wires, he had a spreadsheet, and I bet it was great. Just thinking about it excites me. Jedi, do you want to hit us with your story, mate? I don't, again, have any clue what this is about.
Sure. So, 2019, a game came out called Devotion, and it was a high-rated game. It was actually considered one of the games of the year. The reason it's coming up in news now is because about a week or so ago, they announced that they were going to be releasing the game on GOG, which is CD Projekt Red's distribution. It's their Steam. It's their version of Steam. Until GOG came out and said, yeah, no, we're not releasing that. Now, part of the story here is this game, highly rated, games love it, reviewers love it. The reason it's been pulled from Steam, the reason it's been pulled from GOG is because somewhere in the game, there is a meme of the Prime Minister of China, and it's like this Winnie the Pooh meme that is very offensive. And once it came out, they got review bombed and strong-armed by certain people to go ahead and pull that game. So Steam pulled it for over almost 2 years now, or almost a year now. They haven't been able to get it back on there, even though they pulled the meme. And GOG, before it even gets put on there, it got pulled. So
Wow.
Universal,
Yeah.
great horror game. You can't get it on these mainstream distribution platforms because of a meme that the Chinese government and fans review bombed and said, "Yeah, no, we're not going to allow this."
This isn't the only story involving issues with China recently, because didn't the Monster Hunter film get pulled from
Yep.
Chinese audiences due to what was deemed a racial joke about the Chinese?
Yep, they pulled it because of exactly something like that. They over there, they have complete control over media, video games, and movies. What can be shown, what cannot be shown. One of the secrets in the gaming world. If you want a game to go into China, you should probably be talking to Tencent, because Tencent knows how to get in there. Tencent knows how to make sure that it gets distributed.
Yeah, because
One of the core distributors for China.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That is mad, though.
that is pretty crazy.
What type of game is Devotion? Because although you said it's critically acclaimed, I've never heard of it.
It's like almost PT, kind of like a Silent Hill-ish. It's a horror game. You're walking around and you're in this weird, creepy environments, and horror shit happens to you. It sucks because, again, everybody has said it's great, but you just can't get it.
I mean, it's crazy that it's been pulled in like other countries. I understand maybe China, but like in other countries as well. Is that?
I think the writing on that one, it's kind of looking between the lines there. China has come in and probably told Steam, "You want to continue to sell games over here?
Right. Yeah.
Do something about this."
Yeah.
That's the only reason why Steam would pull it and not put it back on, even though that has been patched out and fixed.
I see Mike's point there, because I can understand the Epic store pulling it, because it doesn't. We discussed before, Tencent has like a huge share in Epic, so it would make sense for them to want to keep China on side, as that's what they do. But these other ones, I mean, I'm glad you mentioned about GOG, because I keep reading about it and I'm like, what the fuck is this GOG? I've never heard of this. I don't know what this is. So I'm glad you've informed me on what that is now. But yeah, it's weird that these other companies are being forced to pull it. But then, like you say, the Chinese market is a big market, and you want to keep them sweet to an extent. It would make sense.
And I mean, it's one of those things. It's money. You get a lot of revenue out of China, and if they can strong arm you to not being able to release over there, you're gonna think about it. Which shitty situation, but it's also the reality of the situation.
But even after the meme was pulled, they're still like disallowing this whole game, even though it was maybe like a bad choice by one little part of the development team or whatever, just to put a little Easter egg meme in there.
And I mean, as you said, like Steam pulled it almost a year ago now, coming up, I think, in February. They just announced a couple weeks ago that it's going over to GOG, and GOG's like, yeah, no, hard pass.
Right, wow. I mean, it's crazy that it's a few years old now, and it's still like, it's still. I mean, I'm only assuming that it's the Winnie the Pooh meme with like the, where he says like 3 different words or whatever, and he progressively gets like more intelligent. I'm assuming it's that one.
I think it's that one. I haven't seen the meme because I don't want to open up the meme and then having some. I don't know. I don't want to.
You don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
No.
But my point was, that's a dead meme now. Nobody cares about that meme anymore. Like, but,
well, yeah,
you would think.
Oh yeah,
memes change monthly.
Yeah.
Within a month, it's a dead meme. That, I mean, well,
other than that,
I mean, if they've got to do what they've got to do, I suppose.
Yeah,
a mad one, that. Well, anyway, yeah. I mean, thanks for bringing that to our attention, Jedi. Because let's say I had no idea.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to check out this game.
It's a shame because the game looks fun, and again, everybody who's touched it says it was a Game of the Year contender for 2019.
Wow, for a horror game as well, that's got to be some feat.
Yeah, that's got to be fairly impressive because horror games don't usually get a look in, really. Interesting. Very interesting.
Shane, what's your story of the week?
I'm bringing. So obviously we had the Game Awards last week, before our last episode, which we didn't cover. But I didn't really want to go. I think all of our listeners know the Game Awards. They will have watched it. They will have seen it. I didn't want to cover that. But on the same night of the Game Awards, there was the Disney stakeholders event. I think it was called. Can't remember. There was a Disney thing that happened, and they announced a fuck ton of shit.
Yeah.
Literally, I don't know if you guys have looked into the list of the amount of stuff they've announced that's coming to Disney Plus.
Yeah. All I know is that
So
I was watching the Game Awards, and then I was sort of, Twitter on the side kind of thing. And I was like getting all these like Star Wars news and Marvel news and stuff like that. I was like, this is way more interesting than what's going on in the Game Awards.
Hey, load. So I won't read through the entire list because it's long, obviously, but I'll just pick out some of the highlights. So you've got the Disney Television Studios are doing a Beauty and the Beast TV show, Mighty Ducks Game Changers, which will take place directly after the third Mighty Ducks film.
What?
Yeah, a Mighty Ducks TV show, and
Mate, I'm so
Emilio
down.
Estevez is back for it.
Yes.
So that
it's going to be like Cobra Kai, but all over again.
honestly, all over that. So that's exciting. They had a few more stuff, Turner and Hooch, and some other bits in there. There's 5 or 6 things for that. A bunch of stuff from National Geographic. A load of stuff for Hulu and Star as well. The one that really caught my eye was Why the Last Man. Have you guys heard of Why the Last Man?
Yes.
No.
Fantastic.
I'm
graphic
excited
novel.
for that.
Yeah, it's a fantastic graphic novel, Mike. Essentially about a disease that wipes out all men. So there's only women living in the world, with the exception of one man who somehow survived. And it's the story of him surviving in this world of women. But it's not like normal everyday world now. It's like gone into like an apocalyptic barbarian world, but with women.
Okay.
It's really, and he has a pet monkey.
That sounds so far up your street, mate.
Yeah, honestly, the graphic novel is fantastic, and I don't do it justice with that explanation. But
I'm in.
Yeah,
With that explanation alone. There's a pet monkey.
I mean,
Barbarian women. I'm there.
It's a really good comic, and it's been in like development hell for years. It was supposed to be a movie, got shelved. It's been kind of just coming back. The fact that Disney's kind of taking it and moving it, so good.
very honestly, really excited for that. And then moving
Disney arms.
Yeah, well, honestly, moving through, there's some bits for Hulu, FX. They've announced 4 additional seasons of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah, so the 4 more years.
I knew that
poster.
I knew it'd be something that you would like.
Yeah.
The Alien TV show, another one called Shogun as well. And then we start getting into the big boys. So Lucasfilm, we've got Obi-Wan Kenobi, Rangers of the New Republic, Ahsoka, Andor, Star Wars The Bad Batch, Star Wars Visions, Lando, Acolyte, Droid Story, Willow, Rogue Squadron the film, an Indiana Jones film, Star Wars film by Taika Waititi, and Children of Blood and Bone. So that's a big old bunch from Lucasfilm. The pleasing thing, and I know that Mike, you'll enjoy this, is that most of the stuff they announced isn't going to be Jedi focused, by the looks of it.
Yeah,
obviously you've got Obi-Wan and Ahsoka, but the rest of it is mostly non-Jedi focused.
Like, no offense, Jedi, but I'm like,
by all means, by all means.
I'm so burnt out with like fucking space wizards and shit, man. I really had a massive falling out with the Star Wars recently when I played Fallen Order. I think I talked about this on the show.
And I'm exactly the same. I was actually discussing this with a friend of mine this morning, that after episode 7 came out, I was like, I had completely fallen out of love with Star Wars. I was at a point where I was just tired of what they were doing. I had no interest, to the point that I still haven't seen Rogue One. I just had no interest in what Star Wars was doing, and it's only because of The Mandalorian that it's got me back into Star Wars again, because of how The Mandalorian's handled the universe as opposed to just handling Jedis.
Yeah.
So that's a pleasing selection. We then go on to Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures. They announced a load of stuff: Hocus Pocus 2, a Three Men and the Baby reboot, a new Sister Act film, of which Whoopi Goldberg is on board for.
Nice.
Which is exciting. Pinocchio, Peter Pan.
All these, like 80s greats.
Honestly,
like,
it's absolutely great.
Back. Like, it's so good. I'm so into that.
It really is. There's a load of other stuff in there, but I'm not going to go through all of those. Some Walt Disney animation stuff, including...
Just before we go forward, Jedi, have you got anything to say on all the Star Wars noise?
Just one more thing kind of crept out of there that they announced after the shareholder thing was a Boba Fett TV show coming next year.
Yes.
I did see
Boba
that
Fett,
deliberately, yeah.
The Book of Boba Fett.
So I'm excited for that. Out of all of that, I would say the thing I'm most excited for is the TV show that takes place in the High Republic era. I know it's more Space Wizards, but we've never seen anything from that time. So give the keys to Filoni and Favreau. That's all. Thank you.
I'm so fine. I mean, there's a lot in that list that I'm excited
Drops
about.
Mike. That is all.
There's a lot in that list to get excited about. So yeah, working through, we've also got a Zootopia TV show, Moana. There's loads of bits from the sort of animated studio, some more Pixar films, a Buzz Lightyear film, some more other bits that I don't really care about. And then we get to Marvel.
Action Buzz Lightyear film, isn't it?
No, it won't be live action. It's going to be an animated film that tells the story of Buzz.
Oh right, okay. I think
Pre-Buzz.
I misread something. Probably a meme.
I don't think it's live. I mean, it might be live action, but I don't think it is. But I think you probably saw something else. And then
looking at the titles or like trying to figure out what the news is from memes and memes alone.
Well, yeah. Obviously, LucasArts is one hand to their big, absolute ridiculous conglomerate of stuff, and in the other hand, they've got Marvel. And they announced a shit ton of Marvel stuff as well. Yeah. Secret Invasion, Ironheart, which I am extremely excited about. Armor Wars, WandaVision, which you already knew about. A Loki trailer, the What If stuff, She-Hulk, Moon Knight, Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, which I'm curious about.
Yeah, Moon Knight I'm really excited about because I really like the idea of these like sort of almost B-list superheroes getting like some limelight.
Yeah.
Way into it.
Yeah, definitely. A Fantastic Four film. They're rebooting Fantastic Four, so that's going to be interesting to see how they handle that. Yeah, but it's being handled this time by people that actually know what they're doing when it comes to superhero films.
That's a low bar to pass.
Exactly.
Band 4 stick or whatever the hell the last one was called.
Exactly. Black Panther 2, Captain Marvel 2, Blade. But they did confirm, so a couple of bits they confirmed specifically was that they won't be recasting in Black Panther 2 with regards to Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, the best move that they play that out correctly. Yeah. I imagine there's going to be some sort of tribute to him in the film. But yeah, for me, Ironheart, I am so excited about Ironheart. I'm a huge Iron Man fan, and Ironheart just excites me a lot.
Yeah, I think so. Probably the only decent way to go with Iron Man's story now in the MCU.
Well, I was actually looking into something, and it was talking about how the first generation of the MCU has almost everybody is handed over now to someone else. So obviously Cap's handed over to Falcon, Black Widow's handed over to this new girl in her new film, or she's going to be handing over. And as you work through the list, like everybody's handed over to someone next in line.
Yeah.
Iron Man has handed over to Peter, but him handing over to Peter doesn't make sense. And also, unless of a new deal sort out, Spider-Man won't be staying in the MCU forever. Yeah. So they need a true handover for Iron Man, someone who can take over from his presence. And Ironheart is the perfect fit for that. It's a great opportunity for them, and it's also a great opportunity for them to separate Peter Parker from Iron Man, which they desperately need to do. But yeah, so Disney just literally came in and went, fuck the Game Awards. We want to announce about 50 things in one night and just absolutely blow up the internet. So here's all the Star Wars, here's all the Marvel, and here's everything in between that we own.
Yeah.
Literally. And there was a couple of sports stuff and stuff as well. So they literally had everything for everyone in that night. So yeah, very exciting if you're a Disney fan.
Just quickly on the Game Awards, is there any memorable moments from that anyone remembers?
I mean, every game they showed was like a Back for Blood-ish, Left for Dead-ish gameplay trailer.
That was right. Yeah, that was the big.
I mean,
move.
the only thing I really cared about was the new Mass Effect game coming out, but they didn't really show anything.
Yeah,
this is what I was about to say. The only memorable thing was the bit I fell asleep on that I had to watch the next day, which was Mass Effect.
I mean, that and Perfect Dark.
Perfect Dark was exciting. That was exciting, actually. Perfect Dark. I mean,
they launched the show with that, so it was all downhill from there.
Yeah.
well, yeah. Have you seen the information around Mass Effect with the Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 veterans have come back to BioWare for the new Mass Effect, which is interesting. We know it. We saw Liara in the trailer. Is Liara, isn't that her name?
Yes.
Yeah. We saw her in the trailer. So it's looking like it's potentially set back in the Milky Way again and not off in Andromeda territory.
I think the director was saying that potentially there's going to be both.
Interesting. And you do see some other figures behind them, what looks like potentially like a Krogan, what looks like the one that the other guy is that I can't remember his name of.
Solarian, maybe?
Yes, that's the one I'm thinking of.
Garrus, is it?
Yeah, that's it, Garrus. Sexty Garrus. And obviously digging out the N7 badge, potentially rehashing over areas that have been before, but from a new future take. So it's going to be interesting where they take it and how they take it. And don't correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't the sounds at the beginning of the trailer the noise that the Reapers make?
It was.
So potentially alluding to the return of the Reapers.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting.
My only issue with like more Mass Effect is I have lost all faith with BioWare after like the last couple of games that they brought out. It's just been huge flops.
Yeah, that's been kind of a shame for them.
Should I be excited about this?
To say. The thing is, like, I get it, and when we get into what we've been playing in a minute, we're going to be talking about another company that has let us down recently. But but then we've also had experiences in the last 10 years of companies that have turned it back round. Ubisoft, for example, with the Assassin's Creed franchise, are doing some fantastic work to turn that franchise back round.
Yeah, definitely.
And to start fixing the fuck-ups they've made over the last 15, 20 years.
No, I totally agree with that. Like, they can turn it around and,
yeah, exactly.
It could just be like a couple of bad games and then a great game, but it's just like a bad taste in the mouth, isn't it? Sort of thing.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it's going to come down to how EA manages BioWare and whether BioWare are left to be BioWare and do what they do best, or whether other entities, EA, stick their nose in and demand other things. Because we know that causes issues, and Jedi, you might be able to speak on that more. But we know in the Bungie Activision acquisition was like, what deal was a prime one where Bungie literally said we broke away from Activision because we wanted creative freedom.
Mm-hmm.
So it just shows that those companies that are publishing do obviously have a stake in the creativity of these developers. So if EA pulls out a little bit and lets BioWare get on with it, maybe we'll get the game that we want. Just maybe.
I mean, the perfect kind of parallel for that is you look at Lucasfilms for what they did for the trilogy. They had way too much overhead from basically the big Kathleen Kennedy. Those 3 movies that came out were hot garbage. But Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm kind of stepped back and said, you know what, we'll go ahead and let Mandalorian do its own thing. And it's been like, oh, cool. People that know what they do can do really good things without me fucking up. So exactly
that. So on the note of companies fucking up, let's get into what we've been playing. And I'll start us off this week because it will segue in quite nicely. Because I've been playing Cyberpunk and it's not gone down quite well.
I'm so sorry.
The most anticipated launch of the year has probably been the most fucked up launch of the year. And to be honest, the way 2020 has gone, I'm not at all surprised.
This is so 2020 of you, Cyberpunk.
This is, yeah, it's just... be original for God's sake, Cyberpunk. Like, fucking following the rest of the year. So I'm not hugely far through. I'm about 20 hours in. I'm playing on a PS5, and it's obviously the PS4 edition because there isn't a PS5 version. And I'm not going to go into all of the details of what's happened with the company and all the ins and outs, because I know that Ryan has released the Triple XP blog today, which covers most of that anyway. So I don't want to rehash over that ground when you can go and read it in our blog.
Yeah, go read it.
Do go and read it, because it's actually a really good write-up around it. And he's actually completed the game as well. So he's given his opinions from what he's played. And I know that he's had a lot more issues than I have as well. But yeah, it's had a rocky launch. I mean, it's probably the nicest way to say it. My first impressions of the actual case, because I got the physical edition, fantastic. It came with maps. It came with books and maps and compendiums and cards, and it was literally like being back in the PS2 days, where you get like shitloads of stuff with it, and you're just like, well, why do I need this map of GTA San Andreas that I'm never going to look at? Like, it literally has all that shit in there, and which was really nice actually, because it was like you clearly care about your fans to give them all this extra stuff. And that was in the standard edition. I didn't buy any extra editions, any deluxe editions. I just went for the pure standard, and it still came with all this extra bits of paperwork and compendiums and stuff, which was quite nice.
I'm all for that shit in games. Like, I miss like the instruction books and all these,
and the artwork.
All
the artwork is
that's
great.
Just like pure nostalgia for me, because it's like you get a brand new game. It'd be like your ritual to like sit on the back of the bus going home and read the instruction book on your way home.
Definitely.
As a kid, like.
But this is the thing. So I unwrapped it, and I was like, yeah, my hopes are really high, because like, look at all this cool stuff they've given me. Like, I'm really into this. And then I immediately, about 5 seconds later, being a fully grown adult and not a child, went, what the fuck am I going to do with all this shit they've sent me? So yeah, I know, loaded it up, started it off. On the PS5, it runs well enough. I don't have any major frame rate issues. I've had a few glitches here and there. The odd thing like a floating briefcase or a cigarette stuck in the air. The worst the worst bug I had, which was very annoying, is quite early on you get like a tutorial mission, and you go into like this like almost like a VR world to do this tutorial mission, and one of them involves you having to sneak up to a window and highlight 3 enemies, and it tells you how to tag the enemies. Well, the tagging refused to work, but you also couldn't leave the tutorial. There was no way out.
No way.
You couldn't press pause and like quit. There was no door to leave. You was either you tagged them or you just sat there and you couldn't leave. And the only way I could get out of it was to go back, load into a save pre that training mission, and just not do it, and just skipped it, because it turned out that it was an optional training mission. I just didn't realise. So I just never did that training because it didn't work. I've had 2 crashes, 2 full PlayStation like come out of the system, send off to CDPR crashes. Annoyingly, or interestingly, as Jedi might be more interested in this specifically, the crashes only seem to appear, for me at least, when I'm playing main story missions. Out of the 16 hours, every single time I've done a side quest or some sort of side mission, it's been happy as days. Nothing's got majorly gone wrong. Yeah, there's been, like, say, the odd floating thing, but no major crashes or stuttering. The minute I load into a main story quest crashes instantly.
That's weird.
It's very weird. I literally, I had my first crash probably about 4 or 5 hours in, and I didn't have another crash until I was playing yesterday, and I was at the 16-hour mark. So over 10 hours worth of gameplay without a single crash, and I hadn't done a single story mission. I just done side stuff, and I went, I'll give this story mission a go. Literally walked through the door to speak to the person, and it crashed before I even had a chance to open the conversation. That's how quickly, as soon as it was like, oh, you're loading to a story mission, turning you off. It was very strange. Very strange. But don't get me wrong, I am enjoying the game. I'm having a good time with it. It's not as long as I was expecting from what I've read and from what I've heard from Ryan. The main campaign's only about 30 hours long. So you can, if you crit path it, you will actually be able to complete this one, Mike.
Wow.
I mean, it takes about 30 hours to get to the Red Baron in Witcher, doesn't it? Before you reset and start again.
The last boss.
Yeah, yeah, that one. And then the side stuff. I mean, the side stuff's fine. It's fairly quick, fairly simple. The one thing I really, really, really hate is the trophy setup. So the trophies are linked to. So you've got like a selection of different side quests. So you've got gigs, which are just like these very quick little mini missions. So you'll turn up somewhere and your fixer will call you and say, "Oh, by the way, there's this mission here. Can you go and do it?" And they usually take no more than 5 to 10 minutes tops, depending on whether you want to go in stealthy or like me, you just walk in with a double-barreled shotgun and murder everyone. Because why stealth when I exactly why stealth when I can literally walk through the front door with a double-barreled shotgun and just walk through them all, just blasting them away. And then you've got like the core side missions, which take a bit longer. You've got these like, and these are the ones that are annoying. You've got like these police scanner missions that aren't missions. They're essentially like a crime is happening in the city. So it'll just be like a mugging's happening or something like that, an assault's happening.
Like your Spider-Man crimes kind of thing. Just situational to where you are. And
exactly. So you just go and kill everyone there and then it's job done. But so they're all on the map. But so there's like 5 or 6 main areas. And to get each trophy for each area, you have to have completed every single crime plus all the side missions.
Jesus.
The crimes are boring. I only ever do them if I'm physically like passing them. I'm not going to seek out some random people committing a crime. Like if I'm passing them, I jump out my car and whip out the shotgun and murder them all. But I'm not going to seek them out. It's a waste of my time. So I'm never trophy in this game. But apart from that, combat feels really good. Combat's really pleasing. As I say, it's fairly smooth. The world, it feels really well built. The voice acting's really good, so I'm really pleased with all of that, and I'm really enjoying all of that. I do have 2 main gripes though with the creation, like the actual main development of the game, and that is there is far too much gear. The gear is in a situation where it is quantity over quality, and you can't make a build because within 1 kill you'll find something better. But it's really frustrating in that you're finding the same gun you already have, but it's like +0
with a higher number.
Yeah, but the number difference is like literally +0.01 better than the guns you have. And honestly, you'll go into a side mission and you'll come out with 6 new guns and 4 new outfits that are all 0.01 better than what you've got on. So you're constantly just changing gear to the point that I just don't bother now. Yeah. I don't change gear unless if it's like a good 5 or 6 points higher than what I'm currently at. But it's just constant. Absolutely constant. I've never had to sell so much fucking gear in a game in my life because I'm just constantly doing a mission, running back to the vendor, selling it, doing a mission, running back to the vendor, selling it, because otherwise I'll just be overweight within minutes.
Have you ever played Borderlands? It sounds exactly like Borderlands.
It's very much like that. Too much gear. And my other big issue with it is so I don't know what you guys remember from like the promotional stuff, but it's the hacking feels so hollow and really sort of frustrating. So that what we saw back in the development of the game was that the hacking, you'd be able to do some like really cool stuff where you'd be able to like jack into people's heads and take information from them and like download maps, and you'd be able to hack into turrets and make a decision whether you take over the turret or whether the turret goes into friendly mode or whether you can take the turret off and use it as a gun. None of that happens. None of that's in the game, as far as I can see so far anyway. I can hack people with a selection of skills that I have purchased. so I can like turn off their eyes for a very short period of time. My favorite one is overheat, which just sets them on fire. I just do that a lot, set them on fire, cause them to have like an electrical shortage. There's one that's like memory wipe, which stops them from being in a combat phase. But they're all just like little mini quick hacks. And then you can also hack doors to open them, or you can hack cameras, of which you can either turn them off or you can manually take over them and then just do the hacks that you can do normally on people, but from a camera instead of from you. Outside of that, there's no other major hacking element. There's these things you can jack into in the wall, and it makes you do this annoying code puzzle to get some money, and that's it. It feels so hollow and so frustrating from what they showed, and I know that things change in development, and I get that. My problem was, and I was talking to Ryan about this earlier, if there was more, I don't think that the advertisement for this game was honest. We've seen that from the fact that they clearly knew that the PS4 and Xbox versions were trash and didn't show that at all and hid them from reviewers, and that's all covered in many articles out there. So there's a lot of stuff that they hid, but I think if they had advertised and shown what the game actually involves, I probably wouldn't have purchased it. I would have rented it, because it sounds like it's more of a rental in my opinion. I kind of regret spending the money on it, but let's just say I give it a 7 out of 10. I give it a solid 7.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll get better with fixes and stuff. Like they're obviously working on it and pretty dedicated.
Yeah,
by the sound of it. So
the next big fix is coming in January, to my understanding. Is the one they're talking about. But I mean, you know that it's had a bad launch and again, Jedi, you might be able to bump in on this with some information from your knowledge. But when Sony has had to pull it from the PlayStation Store, that's rare, isn't it?
Yeah, that was quite a huge thing.
You don't hear about that.
No,
that doesn't happen. Once it's out, the term is called fix forward. You fix forward. You fix it. You don't revert it. You can't pull it back. The fact they did that just shows you how utterly both CD Projekt Red failed, and also I would say also first party Xbox and PlayStation failed in letting it go in and say, yeah, we'll trust you to fix all of these bugs.
Yeah.
So
it's ridiculous.
The main issues are with consoles and specifically the previous gen now, aren't they? From what I've read anyway.
And low end PC, you have to have a pretty sort of decent PC to be able to get the best out of it. But then that's the same with any game on PC. You've got to have the best PC to get the best out of it. Sort of. But I don't know if this is true. I read this somewhere recently, and I can't remember where. But I read somewhere that Sony only takes something down from the store if the refund requests or refund rate has exceeded more than half of the actual sales of the game.
That might be some internal metric that they use, but as far as I know, I haven't really heard of a game being pulled by Sony.
No, I can't name another one that I've been aware of in the last 10 years.
So that's just wild.
And definitely not one of a high pro. Like there may be the odd indie game that have been pulled, but I couldn't name a high profile game, a high AAA profile game like this.
Jedi, have you played Cyberpunk?
So we played it a little bit for some to get some context on how they do some of the conversations, because there's some cool mechanics in how they do that. But I did that for maybe an hour. I ran into several bugs, one of which was in the tutorial that Shane was talking about. After every step, my character was looking at the ceiling and the camera was spinning for some fucking reason. So I'll come back to it when the bugs have been fixed eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot to fix. They've got a lot to live up to get that to where it needs to be.
There is, and not to just completely dump on CD Projekt Red, but did you guys ever remember Saints Row 2? I don't know if you guys ever remembered the PC port that came out for Saints Row 2.
I remember Saints Row 2, but not the PC port.
So the PC port was unplayable. They took it from a 360 and put it on the PC. They still had it single threaded, so even these massive computers were bottlenecking because they couldn't just do anything with any of the resources. And that was done by, I want to say the main game was done by whoever the hell whoever did Saints Row 2. The port was done by CD Projekt Red, and they never fixed it. They said, take our name off of it because we don't want to be associated with a bad release like that. And I think 10 years after that, like a few years ago, somebody else came in and fixed the port for them. So this isn't new for CD Projekt Red.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's especially it's not new if you knew about CD Projekt Red and you had been involved in playing their games previously. But I think particularly those of us like me and Mike who are generally more console based, CD Projekt Red only really came on the scene for us with The Witcher 3, which, although had a bit of a buggy launch, I understand, it generally plays very, very well. So they had earned a pretty good standing amongst most gamers with The Witcher, to a point that they had earned quite a bit of respect, and now they've essentially shat all over that.
I think we just touched on this before, saying about BioWare and their kind of like reputation of being like these amazing RPG creators. Come out with some bad games. Like, I don't think anyone is like immune to this, like, bringing out a bad game.
It goes back to that old phrase of it takes years to build respect, but only 5 minutes to destroy it.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what's happened here, isn't it? CDPR have spent years building their respect with their fans and with reviewers and with developers, and then they've done one thing, and they've done one thing very badly, and it's destroyed their relationship with the gamers. From what I've been reading, their relationship with the reviewers, and potentially their relationship with Sony. So, yeah, interesting one. But no, as I say, if you're willing to part with the bugs and you've got a good PC or a next-gen console, solid 7 out of 10. If you don't have those, probably best you wait. Is where I'd kind of leave it on that. And moving on then, Jedi, what have you been playing?
So I really haven't had much time to play because of work, but I did get 2 games in this week that I've been able to play. And you bring up CD Projekt Red, and I finally got into Witcher 3. I think I've been in this. I've been in the same boat as Mike, where I have played it. Mike talks about the Bloody Baron, and I was like, yeah, sure. I'm pretty sure I got to the Bloody Baron. I had never ever gotten to the Bloody Baron in any of the 4 times that I had started. So this time I finally got there, and to me, I think the biggest problem for me was the controls seemed so counterintuitive. I feel like certain like pressing X to jump, or the controls were just backwards to me, and it took a while to get used to them. But I'm finally into it. I'm enjoying it. Fuck the Bloody Baron, and The Witcher's a great game so far, and I'm really finally glad that I gave it the time, and I'm really enjoying it.
So
I actually am looking forward to playing it because they're doing like a PS5 upgrade for it.
They are,
So, I mean, hopefully that works. But I purchased the Game of the Year edition back when it was like a tenner on sale, and it's just waiting in my downloads for the free PS5 upgrade, and then I'm just gonna give it another go and try and get past the Bloody Baron.
Jedi, did you get past the Bloody Baron?
I did. I got past him.
So you finished the game.
I'm in the post game.
You're in the end game now.
Yeah, and it's funny because I played that, and everybody, and this is one of the games that I was streaming, everybody else said that they handled the Bloody Baron differently, and they got a different outcome than me. So I feel like that's one of the cool things about the Witcher game that I'm probably going to play again. It's just all those different outcomes, and it's fun so far, and it blows my mind that CD Projekt Red released what they did for the next game, but we're done with that game.
Yeah.
The other game I've been playing is Yakuza Like a Dragon. And
I want to play this so bad.
I have never played a Yakuza game, and somebody who is a friend of ours will probably shit on me for that because they're good games. That said, this is my first touch on Yakuza. I heard it's different than other mainline games in terms of mechanics. It is such a funny game. It is such a serious game. The mechanics are so good that it is such a fun game, and I am so happy that I'm playing this one. This one is just amazingly fun RPG, and I'm having a blast with it.
Honestly, it looks so good. I've played one of the Yakuzas, and I played Judgment. And the minute I saw the new like RPG mechanics, I am so excited to play this game. The only reason I haven't is because there's a PS5 version coming out in March of next year, so I'm kind of just going to wait for that
Yeah, and I
But
think that's what the version I'm playing is on the Series X, so I get the next gen one, so I'm happy with that. Just
yeah,
I can't wait for you to play it. I can't wait to talk to you about it because there is just so many things that I am just laughing my ass off with this game. It is so funny. And then on the same note, the next mission will be just a drop dead serious one. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this has got dark. It's really good.
amazing. The thing from what I've seen in like trailers and like I've tried to keep clear of like Twitch gameplay or anything for obvious reasons,
Mhm.
but the summons just get me. Just the fact there's like giant like crawfish just fucking flying
Fall
out
from
of
the
the
side.
sky. It's
And
just
I
the
haven't gotten
best.
I haven't gotten to the summons yet, but I do have my party, and it's just the characters. They married the two crazy elements of Yakuza and that RPG together so well. It's awesome.
So isn't like
So excited.
you have like a different classes and stuff, and one of the classes is like a wizard, but he's like a hobo or something.
Yes, yes, one of your characters is a homeless person, and he is he's your healer. He's amazing.
Just everything about this game sounds incredible.
It's so good. I'm so glad I got it.
I feel like it's that sweet spot between like completely ridiculous and super dark.
Yeah.
It rides that line. It's great.
Just we all need a little bit of completely fucking mental, but we also want a grounding story, and that is exactly that. Incredible.
And those are the two games that I've been playing recently.
Oh, I'm glad you're enjoying that, Mike. What have you been playing then?
I've had a troublesome week, to be fair, because my PS4, the one console that I've been holding on to, just wishing that I had a PS5, completely crapped out on me.
Oh, no.
As I was like just getting into Persona 5.
When you say just getting into, how far in were you?
About 10 hours. I know that's like literally just
You're still in the tutorial.
the first lick of the lollipop, isn't it? Like
Literally.
But
You're 10% in.
yeah, not even that. But what I played, really good, great storytelling. It's one of those where you'll actually sit and like listen, because I tend to like skip through a lot of text when it's, there's a lot of text heavy sections in it. But I'll actually sit and like, it actually pulled me in, and which is rare for like an RPG like that, and it's very anime based, which isn't my thing. But I know like Sarah and like you, Shane, you've been like a massive advocate of this game, so I was like, right, I'll give it a go, because I have been waiting for the PS5 to come back in stock, which seems like it will never happen. So I like delve back into my backlog, getting those like, these 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10 games that I've just not finished. So
yeah, I mean, one of the games on the list here definitely is not a backlog game.
no, no, there's a few here. Because I got rentals as well, so I got rented some new ones. But my main game and then was Persona 5, and I've been playing like a bit of Control on the sort of side, and I managed to actually finish that and get the platinum.
Which is a real struggle.
Yeah, it's such a good game, and I'm really excited for like the PS5 upgrade version, because I think it'll fix the issues with it, or hopefully anyway. Is that every time you pause the game or look at the map or try to change weapon, it just
Anytime you do anything,
literally anything, specifically towards like the last section, the last two missions, it's just so like the frame rate is literally like a slideshow. It's awful towards the end. It's so bad. But I got to run through the ashtray maze again for the second time, which is such a cool moment. It's
best part of that game.
Awesome, yeah. It really like elevates that game. It's so good. And then I played through the Foundation DLC as well. But I just left the Alan Wake, or the AWE, or whatever it's called, DLC. I've not gone back to it because I got the platinum and I was like, right, I'm never playing this again. It was just like
until it's fixed.
Yeah. But I had a lot of fun playing that. And one of the rentals that I got, shout out to Boomerang, was Captain Tsubasa's Rise of a New Champion, or whatever the fuck. Which it's basically, it sounds like the most random title, but it's essentially anime football. Which, Shane, that's right up your street.
Yep, it's like from what I've seen, it's literally like Dragon Ball Z meets football. It's
essentially that. So you'll kick the ball and it'll like set on fire, and then you'll shoot it through like the goalkeeper's hands, and the goalkeeper's like doing that anime pose where he's like, no, trying to stop it.
There was a film, wasn't there?
Shaolin Soccer.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
I was thinking of that, Shaolin Soccer.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of like that, but you know what? I absolutely hated it. I turned it on. I played it for like, it's kind of similar to Persona in the way that it just over tutorials you. Like, it'll let you play the game, but it won't let you go any further until you learn how to pass, or you learn how to like shoot appropriately, or you have to get it right and perfect. And it's just kind of, I just want to play. Just let me get into a game and play, and I'll figure it out. But it's just like, I really hated it. So I just turned it off, and then I sent it back like the other day. And I also rented at the same time the remake of 13, which I got a long time ago on the 360, I believe, or was it PS2? It could have been PS2, actually.
I think it was PS2.
Yeah, I think it was. So it's like a cel-shaded, almost like comic book style spy shooting FPS game. But it runs like utter shite, like worse than Control. You can actually see like the frames like refresh as they go down the bar, like as you move. It's awful. It is so bad. I got to like the second level. I was just like, I've had enough of this. I just turned it off. Started playing more Persona. But other than that, because it's been about 2 weeks since we've actually recorded a podcast, I've started playing, because my PlayStation 4 just crapped out on me. I started playing, I just regressed and just went back to like my childhood happy place and started playing Zelda again. Started playing Breath of the Wild to get them Zelda feels. Make me feel better about not having any decent consoles. But
Is that why you've been watching that? Why you watched the Nintendo Direct with? Okay, boys, Daddy's busy.
Yeah.
My favourite thing in that whole video. Daddy's busy. Go away.
Yeah.
Oh,
but yeah.
fucking incredible.
I'm a Switch main now instead of a PS fanboy.
I mean, to be fair though, there's a lot of good games on the Switch at the moment.
I've got a massive backlog, and again, shout out to
Of course you do.
I've got some games to catch up on, so they're coming this week.
I've literally just downloaded the demo for Bravely Default 2 on.
I was looking at that last night. Yeah, I might.
Because
pick that up.
I played the first one, and the first one's fantastic. So yeah, give it a try. It's a really good RPG.
Like a JRPG
if you're into
type.
RPGs. Yeah. I mean, it's the Switch. Come on now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know you're into the more Western Skyrim RPGs, but let's be honest, it's all about JRPG over on the Switch.
What I can't get over on the Switch is the price of some of the sale games. Like some are like 8p. It's just like, why would you just not get that for like 8 pence?
There is one on there at the moment for 8p.
Yeah,
I saw that yesterday. Yeah,
I was looking yesterday. I was like, maybe I might pick this up. And there's an old Sega classic called Flashback. I don't know if any of you have ever played that.
I've heard of it
on like the Sega Master System. And it's just this like 2D, almost like puzzle solvey shooting game. That's a really bad explanation of that game, but it's 80 pence on there, and it's so good. It's well worth picking up for 80p.
On the note of the Switch, question: do we think that, because obviously we've got the NES and the SNES now, haven't we? The like virtual consoles. Yeah. What, do you reckon there's going to be an N64 virtual console on the Switch eventually?
I mean, if they don't do an N64 Mini, like the physical console, then they're missing a huge opportunity.
Yeah, but as in, But is it a virtual one built into the Switch already as part of your yearly payment or whatever it is?
Yeah, I mean that's the next step, right? Surely.
I mean, I hope so, because I'll be honest, because like that's for us, that's like our childhood, isn't it? Like the NES and SNES are great, but I know I didn't play much of NES and SNES as a child because I was too young.
Yeah.
So for me, it was the N64 was like prime for when I kind of was old enough to start really gaming. So
yeah, I spent a lot of time in the fields of Hyrule. I think that's why I'm regressing back to that now. It's my happy place.
Interesting. Well, shit that your PS4 died.
Yeah,
Just your luck. You can't get a PS5. Your
Mate.
PS4 dies.
it really is. 2020 is the worst.
The worst. Absolute
worst.
worst. And that brings us into a perfect segue for our third chapter of the podcast, our third segment, because 2020 has been the worst, the absolute worst. And we want to round off 2020 at Triple XP with a little bit of positivity towards 2021. And also, I was saying to someone the other day, wouldn't it be great if, like, dead on midnight and we go into 2021, that first 1 minute of 2021, COVID just disappears, all the world's problems just disappear, and it's just like, oh, the whole of 2020 was just a joke, mate. Just trying to fuck you over.
Fever dream.
Well, yeah, exactly. But on a serious note, looking forward to 2021. So, firstly, the big question, will Mike get a PS5?
Yeah.
What we thinking?
Yes,
No,
you will.
I don't think you ever will. I think every time you try, they're going to be out of stock
Mate,
for life.
I thought we were being positive here.
Yeah, we are. Damn it,
This is
you
a
will.
downright attack.
So
you-
I think
you will.
the first time he gets a box with a PS5, it'll be a box of rocks. And I think the second time he gets one, it'll be broken. The third time, absolutely, he'll get it. It'll be there. End of year 2021, calling it.
It'll be December the 21st, 2021.
Yeah.
That's when he gets it.
I can't imagine he won't have one by the time the next Horizon comes out.
No, but in all seriousness, I mean, I do hope you manage to get one early next year when stocks. They're saying that they're hoping that stocks are going to balance out within the first 3 or 4 months of next year, aren't they? So hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully,
with all,
things
like,
swing your way.
Eventually, the scalpers will get bored of earning all of this extra money, I'm sure.
Well, have you seen that the UK Parliament is trying to
Change some
put a law
legislation.
in place?
Yeah.
So that basically, Jed, I don't know if you've seen this, but the UK government is looking to put some legislation in place that basically means you can't resell your console privately. So so that scalpers physically can't sell consoles. Yes, it will stop people who want to legitimately sell their old console, but that's a small number. But anyone who tries to sell a console online, they want to make it be enforced that you can't do it.
Yeah,
is
scalping's not a new issue, is it? Really, I think it's just
No, but
capitalized at the with COVID and stuff, that people actually can't go out and get a physical one because all shops are shut.
It's not just that though, is it? It's also the element of the fact that they use bots, and it's so easy to fake your identity online. Like you can have hundreds of email addresses and bots running different email addresses, so that because even stores that's like, oh, it's only one per customer. Well, there are ways around that online because you haven't got to stand in front of someone and prove it's not like you've got to turn up in a moustache and then turn up in a moustache and glasses and a different trench coat. Like it's queuing up in a different outfit every time, like some sort of comedy spy gag. Online, you can just put in a different email address and then boom, there you go. You've got yourself a second one, and you can just keep rinse and repeating that. But anyway, moving on. So Jedi, what are you hoping that, or what are you looking for 2021 to bring for yourself first? What are your views and hopes for 2021?
Ooh, you know what? I want to say I want 2021 to start coming back to some normalcy here, right? But I don't see that happening until the second half. Honestly, for me, I I want to start seeing my family again. I haven't seen them in over 9 months, and I feel like I'm missing out on some quality gaming time with my brother, who he's been like, sure, he's like a couple of cities away, but I feel like I need to get that in. And one of the cool things about most of the games that have come out in 2020, even some of the ones that are big coming out in 2021, is a lot of them are multiplayer, so I can actually still try to get that in. But still, I think I want to try and get some of that in for 2021, and I think it'll happen.
Yeah.
It's funny you say a couple of cities over, because had this conversation been in January of 2020, a couple of cities wouldn't have meant anything. But now a couple of cities feels like literally impossible to get to.
Yeah,
Like the whole meaning of a couple of cities away is just completely different now to what it was 12 months ago.
it truly is, and I feel so spread out from a little context about me. Early last year, I was up in Northern California. My family's been down in Southern California. I am now back down in Southern California, and I feel farther away from them than I did when I was up in Northern California. Just because I can't say I'm gonna take a weekend and go see my family. It's wild, man.
Yeah.
Yourself, Mike, what are your hopes? What you're hoping for in 2021?
I mean, bringing it back to games, like I just want these AAA titles that we've been getting, specifically from Sony. So when I do eventually get a PS5, which I will, there's some amazing stories just ready to be told. Like, you got Horizon, which got a great, such a great theme to it, and God of War's coming, and then I know Neil Druckmann from the Last of Us team, Naughty Dog. He tweeted out that it's the end of his work year, and he's looking forward to future projects. So me being a massive fan of that, then I'm pretty excited to see what they're coming out with next. Naughty Dog are probably one of the best devs out there at the minute. I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but
I don't think it's necessarily a hot take. I think a lot of people would agree with that. I mean, they did just win a lot of awards.
yeah, true, yeah. Which I stayed up till 3 a.m. to find out that The Last of Us 2 won, which I could have called it. I think we all called that. But yeah, just getting a PS5. Obviously, I want to see family and stuff like that. But the great thing about this year, like 2020, has been because we have quite a tight knit group of friends now on, that we've all met together through Triple XP and streaming in general and stuff, and just a shout out to every one of those people in that Discord now that we're all almost like best friends. We speak to each other every day.
It's a great community we've built.
Yeah. So obviously I get married next year as well, hopefully. So yeah, there's that to look forward to. Which is a big party, which quite a few of the team are invited to as well. So that should be pretty good. But yeah, I was just gonna say as well, just being integral that that Discord group has been to my mental health personally. Having someone there to check in with every day, and having game nights like we do most Fridays, where we'll wrap up an episode and then we'll jump on Among Us and play into 2-3 in the morning, stuff like that, and just having a really good time with these new social games that have come out with Among Us and Fall Guys and things like that. These big, almost practically free games that come out and really easy for everyone to be able to play.
Especially now that Among Us is on Twitch.
Yeah, which I picked up the other day, and it's a lot harder than it is on mobile, weirdly. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to more of these social games and stuff that we're gonna all play together. But yeah, just grateful that I've met all of you in that. So Yeah, there's Mike.
You're making me all mushy.
I know, I'm being nice. What?
Oh God,
I don't like it.
Get
What's
mushy.
going
neither
on?
do I. Neither do I. It's just upsetting.
No,
But
it's a bloody movie,
no,
man.
I mean, I coming off the back of what you were just saying, one of the things I am most excited for is the weddings of next year, 2021. Your wedding. I know there's a lot of us that are able to move. Well, hopefully, should COVID be okay,
Yeah.
there will be hopefully a lot of us that will be able to travel and come and see you guys. So that would be really nice. Also, another member of the Triple X team, Max, has also got his wedding next year, so that's also exciting. I've also got another 2 friends that are getting married, potentially 3 friends that are getting married next year. So there's a lot of weddings on my calendar next year. So I'd really like COVID to not be cancelling people's weddings. That would be fab.
Yeah.
That'd be fabulous. But going back to the like when you're looking at gaming, I agree that it'll be. I just want to see. This year has obviously changed the face of gaming a lot in the industry in different ways, and those social games, which a year ago, like Among Us, came out a year or 2 ago, didn't it? And barely touched the sides, and then this year it's just exploded.
Yeah.
And I want to see more of those social games being developed, like more social games coming out that we can get involved in, and also like Cyberpunk's a prime example, the Avengers game, BioWare and what they've done recently, and just I think 2020, because of everything that's been going on in everybody's personal life, and with the coronavirus, and with things that have been going on around the world, with say like Black Lives Matter and all the other like things that have happened this year, the forest fires and everything that's gone on, people's tolerances are probably at their lowest for taking shit. And I think the video games industry is feeling that from game fans. We're at a point now where I think a lot of fans are less willing to take shit from companies now, and hopefully that will help. I don't want it to be an aggressive and a negative view to companies, because I know particularly towards developers, because they're obviously working their arse off. And like say, going back to the CDPR thing, it's not the developers that I'm angry at, it's the bigwigs and the company that making the decision to force the game out when it clearly wasn't ready. But hopefully this year will help push those companies to go, maybe we should think twice before we try and fuck over our fans, because it's not going to go down well. That's kind of the positive outlook I want to see. Is the negativity of this year help positively move the industry forward, and I get to go loads of weddings.
Loads of weddings.
That's the main thing.
Games, please.
Loads of weddings and games. I also, and I can't go into details, but I do start a new job in the beginning of the new year, so I'm quite excited about that.
With this new job, can we unleash JB?
No.
What's the point of this new job then?
It's within the same industry and organisation, so no, we cannot unleash JB. But I go into a more training, coaching role, which will be nice to do something a bit different. It's Monday to Friday, and I get to impart my knowledge onto new recruits. Nice for me. Nice for me. But talking about the tolerances this year, and I mean, this question, both me and Mike will have opinions on, but Jedi, you're probably going to be able to put forward the best view. How do you see the game industry changing and developing off of the back of 2020 and the year that it's been for the industry, both with the things that have gone wrong and the tolerances, but also with the very, very massive push for a lot of companies to go to a more agile and work from home format? What do you see being changes that are going to stick, that have had to come in this year, or changes that companies are going to be looking to making within the industry over the next 12 months?
Sure. So, I mean, we've already seen some of it, like the work from home stuff. I have talked to a lot of the companies that I've interviewed with over the past year because, I would say once the COVID went down, I did lose my job initially, and I had a lot of interviews before where I got to where I'm at. Work from home is becoming more acceptable because the whole idea of, yeah, no, we can't support a work from home culture and keep moving forward. That's kind of been disproven because we're able to do that. That said, I don't think it's going to be widespread adopted because there is something to be said about a game in crunch or a game coming towards the end of the finish line and having the team together, reducing the amount of friction for getting bugs reported, getting bug fixes in, getting things over to QA. There is something to be said about that. I think there's going to be a lot more leniency and a lot more tolerance for what is acceptable for working from home in that environment, but there's going to be a middle ground.
So
In terms of getting games out that are a higher quality, so you don't have like a Cyberpunk release, I want to say the optimist in me will come out and say, yeah, things are going to change. The developers are going to focus more on getting quality over just getting a game out for the sake of executives. That said, this year was Cyberpunk. Last year was Anthem. The couple years ago before that was No Man's Sky. So this happens every year. I don't
Yeah.
know how much is going to change from getting executives out of getting the say in when a game gets put to market, as opposed to just having the gamers, or not the gamers, but the developers say, yes, our game is now ready. I just don't see that because it hasn't changed. 3 years now in a row, we've had a big high profile game come out that's just been like, ooh, how did that get out? How did that happen? Let's change it. I'm just happy that I can say that I work for companies that value putting a good product out over just putting one out for the sake of it.
Interesting. Mike, have you got anything you want to throw in on that?
I was just going to say, like, do you think that COVID had a part in, the cyberpunk bugs and fixes and stuff? Do you think? 'Cause I know we talked about this previously, Jedi, that when you're like testing a game, you are literally sat next to the tester,
Mm-hmm.
and that one person's coding, one person's testing, and you kind of bounce right off each other, sort of thing. So, do you think COVID's affected that kind of thing, and that's why sort of Cyberpunk's so buggy?
I wholeheartedly think that COVID had something to do with it. The example that you say is that's the example. There were plenty of times where, every game that I've worked on, every game that any developer works on, there's always going to be one bug that is just gnarly to reproduce, but it just completely breaks everything. And the easiest way to go ahead and get that resolved is to sit the tester right down next to you, run the game on your console, have them reproduce it, and then just keep adding more log statements, adding more log statements. Working from home, you have to talk to the tester from 2 different places. You have to rebuild, send them the build. This takes time. This takes what was maybe a day's worth of back and forth next to a tester to something that turns into a week-long process for one bug. So that definitely elongated bug fixing for this team. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, talking about COVID, while we're on the subject of this, the changes to the industry because of COVID, do you think there's a lot of positives that have come out of COVID with regards to companies? Because you did mention about proving that agile working isn't, in fact, impossible, as a lot of companies previously believed it is. And I know for my organisation that I work in, and a lot of our friends have that a lot of their companies have realised that it's plausible. Do you think there's been positives on the video game industry with regards to that?
I think so. I think there, and a lot of the things that I have heard from interviewing with several places that, and these aren't just startups, these are actually big companies. They are more concerned about how the team is coming in, how the team fits into the culture, how we're working in this state, and understanding, okay, getting the best out of the developer doesn't just mean getting them, dropping them right next to anybody into an office. It means, how can we get the most out of them? How can we get them to work with us? even if it is remote or even if it is any other kind of way, part-time remote or something. I think COVID has opened up companies to the eyes of seeing the people as more than resources, and oh shit, these people actually have issues. A lot of stuff is affecting them outside of the world. How can we work with them, and how can we make sure that, you know, we're not just numbers and resources, we're actually a team and we understand and can actually help each other.
Has there been, and again, I'm curious because I look at my own industry and how the agile working from home has affected that. Has there been more, at least in your work, flexibility? Whereas before, say, for example, you were Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and then you had to stay late if, you know, had bugs or whatever you had to sort out. Has being able to work from home and potentially being able to say, well, actually, today, lads, I'm gonna start at 10 or 11, but work through till 7, 8 at night. Have you had that opportunity or ability to to be a little bit more agile with your work and work towards your schedule a little bit better?
There's certain things that we've been able to do. I would say that there still needs to be a core set of hours every day that people have been in the office and working together. I think we have 4 to 6 hours that overlap everybody you need to be in for these hours, because these are meeting times. These are times when we go over code reviews, build reviews, demos, big meetings to kick stuff off. So there needs to be that set time. But, you know, shifting that, whether it's up 4 hours so you can get off early or start late, yeah, that's absolutely there. And you'll even hear from other studios even before the pandemic. A lot of studios will be like, yeah, come in, do your 8, just make sure that you hit up meetings, you're fine. But more studios are trying to adopt that and understand what core hours are and how to adopt for that. That said, you're not going to have someone that's going to be like, you know what? I think I'll just work Saturday, but not Monday. I haven't seen that. I don't think that's going to happen.
So one last question around the sort of like hours and agile working situation. Have you? I mean, I don't know if you've had to do much with regards to having to stay late to get things fixed or anything like that. But obviously, we know that crunch is a thing. We know that having to work longer hours because you've got a big bug is a thing. Do you, from what you've experienced, or do you believe that that's a more pleasant experience if you're able to do that from home, or just as bad?
I think it's easier because you don't have to worry about transporting and going home and continue to work on this. I think it's more comfortable. You're in your environment. You're trying to test or fix something. You can easily walk away, talk to your loved one, grab a bite to eat, whatever, and be right back at your desk. The only downside about it is if it is a critical bug like you're talking about, communication is key. And sometimes we're just running on Slack. And you send out an instant message and someone's not responding, you can't just walk over to their station and be like, hey, what's going on? What's the update? How are you doing? Do you need any assistance? I think that's the only downside. But the companies that I have been working with, the crunch that we have been doing, everybody has been online, responsive. They've been owning their shit. There hasn't been any of that ball dropping. And I feel like people feel the crunch while we're crispy. It's not a death march, which I think is the thing that we were trying to achieve.
Interesting. Mike, have you got anything you want to throw into this pot?
No. No,
I mean,
I can't really speak into like, game industry because I don't, I've never worked in there, obviously. So, yeah, just as regards to like industry changing and stuff, I just kind of hope that things like like the malicious practices, like your loot boxes and things like that, sort of eventually, hopefully, come to an end, and we start getting more solid, actual like single player titles and solid games where it's not just literally a shop with a game built on the side kind of thing. That's just
definitely.
That's what I'd like anyway.
And this is, I mean, I know obviously me and you have never worked in the industry, and that's why I sort of wanted to bring some of these questions in today, knowing that Jedi was going to be with us. And as Mike said, I don't and have never worked in the gaming industry, but I am working in a company where I've been able to have a full home setup and do all my work from home now. So I do understand. I can't go into the nature of what I do, but I do understand with regards to what you're saying, Jedi, around having to get quick communication and having people being online on their whatever relevant messaging service that your company uses, and being it's the one thing that I found from the sort of work from home get up is it's about being visible while also you're not physically visible.
Yeah,
it's that finding that line.
Yeah, exactly. And I think one company I used to work for, they actually, if you work from home, you have to be on a Google Hangout every second that you're at home, which is making sure that you're visible. That's like the extreme. But honestly, it's really just being active, making sure that people know. When I started at this place where I'm at now, there was a criticism that I was not there, not visible. And literally, I was doing all the stuff, but I wasn't chiming in the chats. But once I got that feedback, I pepper everybody in chat, so everyone now knows that I'm on their shit and I'm there and I'm ready. But yeah, it's making sure
like that fucking Jedi is too visible now. Just
shut the
coming
fuck
at
up,
us.
man. You know, but it really is that it's a perception versus reality, and it's really hard when people are counting on you and any team member, and you're not. Someone isn't there waving their hands, saying, "Yes, I'm doing my work. Yes, I'm doing my job." There has to be a lot of trust in there, and I think we found a good balance, and we're finding more of that balance.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I think like now we have all the like all the communication tools. It's just kind of how you use them.
Yeah,
in like
definitely.
An effective way.
And talking about effective use of communication tools, a digital future. So one of the other things I wanted to bring up today is not just your views, both of your views, but also what your hopes are for the future of cons, like conventions and expos and things like that, because obviously the E3 that we know didn't exist this year. We don't know if it's going to ever come back in its similar format or a format. The Games Awards went to a completely digital format this year. The Cologne Game Show did a similar thing. We know that BlizzCon's going digital because that's in February. So what do you think moving forward is going to be what do you hope to happen, and B, what do you think is going to genuinely happen with regards to those sort of events, those big gaming events that are used not just to obviously showcase things to the fans, but also I know that they're used a lot by up and coming developers or up and coming companies that want to get noticed by the bigger companies and want to get their game out there. How do you think that's going to play out moving forward, Jedi?
I mean, I think the big thing they need to do first is look at what happened, what was successful, and what wasn't successful for the 2020 showcases. Because there were some that were good, but there were a lot that were just a lot of boring snooze fests that I think we were in a bunch of them, and it was like a lot of it was cringe.
Yeah, some weren't worth staying up for at all.
Yeah, and I think they are critical to the gaming industry, especially if we don't have traditional conventions anymore. The Summer of Play was a great idea on paper. Some worked, some didn't. I think they need to hone that in.
Yeah, that went on for far too long, and it was just sort of really drawn out.
Some of them, the Ubisoft one was weird because it was like around the time of a controversy, so they watered the.
Yeah.
I think that if things get back to normal and we go back to having actual traditional conventions where we have our stage and our fans, there needs to be still that streaming element, because that comes in, that shows. I mean, we saw a lot of us tuned in knowing that they were going to be kind of probably not great. We tuned in to see what news was there. They just need to make that more engaging and exciting.
Yeah. Get
what
more of the Swedish Chef, I think.
Oh no, that was so bad. Oh.
On that note, and this might just be my view, but one of the things that I'd like to see, and it's one of the things that really frustrated me about the Game Awards specifically. Don't get me wrong, Gal Gadot, extremely attractive, and I have no interest. I have no issue with looking at her. Brie Larson, extremely attractive. I've got no issue at looking at her. All of the celebrities they had on that show are all fantastic celebrities. They're fantastic actors. They're very attractive people, and I've got no issues with looking at them. They've got very little to do with video games. For me, I would like to see more developers. I want to see the developers come on and introduce the games, and I want to see the developers come on and talk about their passions. I don't care about Brie Larson from her living room saying, "Oh, the next game coming up is one that you're going to really enjoy."
Yeah, I think
Bring me the developer that made that game.
Yeah, I think that's just like a Jeff Keighley flex, isn't it? Like, look at all these famous people I can pull in. Like,
Well,
my
there's
shiny
that. There's
forehead.
also I want to say most of the people on there had movies that were either going back into theaters or releasing in the next couple of weeks. Gal
Oh, yeah.
Gadot has Wonder Woman coming out this week.
Yeah.
What was it? Tenet had the actor and the director there, so it was all about that part. But I fully agree. Get some of these. Keanu Reeves made sense because he was in Cyberpunk and he did a lot with Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
But get more of those.
Relevant.
Here's the other thing, right? There's a flip side to this. Some of these people that make games are pretty boring. I mean, I want to say
yeah.
I want to say it was the Bethesda event, not last year because there wasn't one, but the year before, where it was just dry because they got a bunch of developers and producers, and these were some boring ass people.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there is that. There is that. But every company, though, has surely got to have. They've got PR people. They've got people that are there to deliver these big events, because they must go to other events where they have to have like a front person that delivers and explains the game and shows the game off and stuff like that. So that they've got people in their company that are ready built for this sort of event.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think when you put a developer or someone from the team in front of the camera, they can either act like really weird and kind of like a bit zany and have that kind of personality that you kind of just click with and be like, oh, this game's interesting because this person's interesting, or they'd be like you said, they'd be very cut and dry and very factual about like the game and stuff, and it kind of just come across as a bit boring. But I think some of the best moments in like specifically like E3 have been those kind of really cringe moments and those like weird
the
moments
passionate ones.
that you only get from like the game developers, not like a trained actor or whatever.
Yeah, the ones that come out and are like, our game is amazing. You're gonna love it. It's got purple. It's got pink. There's a jump button. You've got it all. Like those sort of ones where you just like, I don't know what's going on, but I love this guy.
Yeah. Like Devolver Digital, they do a great job of like bringing so much.
Theirs is more like satire to it, though, isn't it?
Yeah. But I mean, you remember those showcases, though, don't you? And they do like quite a good job of getting your attention, I suppose.
Definitely.
But,
so, I mean, off the back of this, the other thing though is, and again, this is from some like research that I've previously done on, particularly around E3. So I know that the bigger companies had to pay quite a bit of money to be at these big conventions.
Mm-hmm.
But with more and more of the bigger companies who have that money to throw around, your Sonys, your Microsofts, Ubisofts, EA, etc., that can go down the Nintendo route and do it themselves, is there a need for them to go to these big events anymore? Could we see these big events be more focused in on the smaller developers, and because Sony and Microsoft and all the big boys can just go, well, why would we pay so many millions for that rental hall when we can just knock out our own state of play video every 3 months at a fraction of the cost?
I mean, I think part of it is if you don't have the big studios in there, there's no point to have it because the casual gamer isn't going to go just for the indie developers. You need you need the big flash to get the most of the people in there. But what you're saying is very true. We've seen recently, I mean, Nintendo doesn't go to E3. EA doesn't go to E3. They run their state of play down the street from E3. So it's got to be a balance. I mean, the whole point of the show is to show games. If you want to show games and if you want to do it in a way that's not shady, you kind of want to make sure that you get buy-in from the big companies as well as the little companies so that they can share that stage for each other.
Yeah. Mike, have you got anything to add to this?
Just in regards of like sort of a digital sort of future. I think Nintendo do a great job of making the showcase like an event that a lot of people tune in for on on YouTube or Twitch or whatever, and disregarding like the fact that if you're in a convention, you can play the game, you can go and queue up, and but Nintendo do this thing and they do it quite a lot, and I've seen a lot of other studios sort of follow suit with it. Is either dropping the game there and then, and be like, you can play this right now. The game is out right now, and Nintendo always seems to have those moments in their little showcases where you can either play the game right now or you can at least play a demo, and you can download it straight away. You can play it straight away as soon as it's downloaded. And I think,
yeah, definitely.
That for me is like, one, it saves me a lot of money going to a convention, saves a lot of time queuing up. I can literally just download it and play it in the comfort of my own home, and I think that is like a clear advantage over like going to a convention. But then a physical convention, which I don't think will ever go away, it is an event, and you go there, you spend money, you have a good time, and it's more about like being there, isn't it?
Yeah, on the note of both of those points, I completely agree with Nintendo, and Sony are very much getting there with their state of plays. Like, they're starting to make them really feel like their own now.
Yeah.
And getting into that area. And I don't 100% know the details, but I'm pretty sure Blizzard was looking at, for BlizzCon, they were looking at like digital passes where you would have, I think it's PC only, but you'd purchase a pass, and that would give you access to certain demos and stuff that would be on the show floor. How that would work, I don't know, because there's obviously a lot of technical elements around that. But I know that they're talking about like digital passes where you can purchase but then take part in certain things from home. But you'd still have to pay like a £20 or $20 fee to get access to these certain things.
Yeah, it's just like a real life season pass. Basically.
Literally that. No, interesting. Some like, yeah. I mean, I do hope they do come back sooner rather than later. I really want to take my nearly 4-year-old nephew to Comic-Con and get him. He's really into Ghostbusters at the moment. Get him a little Ghostbusters outfit, and I want to take him up there and show him the wonders of Comic-Con. But because obviously we haven't been able to do anything like that in the last year.
I was laughing there just because I pictured you dressed as Slimer.
I mean,
that really made that for me.
Dressed as a Ghostbuster, no Slimer. But no, that's one of the big things, because I think obviously for video game fans, being able to go to conventions is fantastic, and you get to play a lot of games, and obviously from the media and journalists, you get to go and speak to developers and see a lot as well. But for the younger generation, being able to have your dad or mum, whoever it is, take you along to one of these big conventions where you get to see these games you've not seen before or meet these celebrities and developers you've never seen before is also just fantastic. I think that's just a great experience for kids to be able to get involved in.
Yeah. I remember like a Pokemon one when I was a kid. Like my mum took me to, and it was like one of the best days ever. So good.
It's such a good opportunity for kids to get involved in the industry and like in just everything about it. But we are pushing time, so let's just wrap up with the last question I sort of wanted to pose to the three of us, but for us three to talk about, and that is Triple XP in 2021. What are we hoping for Triple XP? Like, what's happening with us?
Should we just end it here? This be the last episode.
Just end Triple XP. That's it. Yeah. Done. Soz. We've done it for a while now. We got bored. It's all weird. I mean, that's Mike's usual response to literally anything. I mean, I've done it for a while. Yeah. Bored now.
Put my 10 hours in. Time to play something else.
I'm actually genuinely surprised that you continue to pay money for us to do this as well. Like I was like, he's going to get bored of paying this £5 a month within a month. It's going to be coming out of my pocket. I can see it already, but no, he's stuck to his word. The money does come.
But no, I love doing this. It's a little event every week. It's nice. Have a little chin wag with the boys. Sometimes the girls.
Sometimes the girls. This is 2020 after all, Michael.
Yes.
And sometimes the dog when she gets involved.
Molly, yeah, that's what I mean by the girls.
Oh, okay.
I meant Molly.
Sorry, Sarah.
Anyway, yeah, we're going to keep doing this, so hopefully people keep listening.
Yeah, so I've been looking through the schedule and doing some work for next year on the scheduling. Spreadsheets. I love a good spreadsheet. And anyway, we're looking to do more group episodes. We've got there's a really, really funny group episode that I'm hoping to plan for our 21st episode, the big 2-1. So we've got we're hoping to have some group episodes coming in the new year. We're also looking at some other special guests. We've been reaching out to some of the streamers and some of the people that we know that we really like and would really love to get on the show to talk to and try and sort of get others involved in the show a little bit.
Yeah, so I think one of the guests would obviously be Camp. Camp's coming back.
Definitely getting Camp back.
You know, there's I'm just going to name drop now. There's a few people that I've been speaking to. Skeletora. She's like this awesome streamer. Streams a lot of like D&D. Creates like a lot of one shots and stuff. So, you know, she's up for an episode and stuff. So that'd be good. And there's a few more people in the pipeline that we've yet to speak to, but it should be a good year. Lots of new voices and new opinions, as well as the usuals.
As well as the usuals, we're also looking at developing some of the way that we use some of our socials. Me and Mike are particularly bad at Twitter. Well, no, he's good at his own Twitter. I'm bad at Twitter, and together that means we don't put enough into the Triple XP Twitter. So I'm going to try and do more on that, especially now that my job's going to be going down to a more Monday to Friday. It will give me more time to be able to put stuff into that. I'm also looking at we're potentially going to start looking at doing our own Triple XP twist on game reviews. So scoring games and putting our own little twist on the pros and cons of games. And we've had Max has been knocking up some bits for us so that we can start using our Instagram and Twitter for that as well. And we've got some secret news that we've been talking to Cheese about, but we can't go into that just yet. But in the new year, we hopefully will be able to share some of that with you as well, which is very exciting news.
Yeah, I'm quite excited about this, to be fair.
Yeah, it's a really, really cool idea that's been bouncing around, and hopefully we can share with you in the new year. Hopefully Jedi will come back more and more, and we haven't just bored him to tears today.
It feels like it's been too long since we've had a Jedi episode. I do love
it. Has.
Cheese was saying this, like I was on one of the early episodes, and then I think he went through the cast, and then went through the cast again, and I got put on the end of the second one, so... anytime you guys want me, I'm down for it. I love it. I love being here. I love chatting with you guys. Always great conversations with you.
Yeah, I mean, the issue we had when I was scheduling is, as you've just said, you're quite easy in that you're generally happy to do it whenever. And some of the others, like JB and Sarah, prime examples, and Ryan as well, all had things going on that limited their weekends due to like visiting family or certain job commitments. So I had to shuffle them all around, and it meant you got pushed back like 3 or 4 slots to where you should have been, because I had to squeeze them in, knowing that I couldn't get them in when they were supposed to be in. So a little bit of shuffling, Jedi. So it wasn't that you were forgotten about. We just, I just had to shuffle you a bit further down the line, unfortunately.
No worries at all. And again, whenever you guys need, if you guys need a shuffle, I'm always down to get shuffled around.
Just know that when those episodes were on, and it was Sarah and JB and Ryan, we were thinking of you the whole time.
I'm sure you were.
True. It's true, we were.
And at least this time, there's at least news that happened. I feel like the week that I did, it was the one week where there was no
Yeah.
news at all.
Yeah, it was like the first or second. It was like the second or third week, and we was just like, "Well, we've just started this podcast, and we've got nothing to talk about." But I think it's important to point out that throughout 2021, and as anyone who's listening to the show has realised, we're constantly looking to improve and develop. We've improved our audio substantially since the early episodes. We've changed around the format. We're constantly looking for ways to improve. And if any of you have an idea that you think this would make the show better, DM us, tweet us, let us know. Because we're always looking for ways to improve the show and make it better for the listeners and just as fun for ourselves. So yeah, I think that's kind of the point where we should really look at wrapping up.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, it's early days for us. You know, we're still quite young to it, and we're definitely evolving.
Well, 14 episodes is baby steps compared to most podcasts these days, isn't it?
Yeah.
And just to kind of just add to one thing, I listen to the show every week, and it's one of those things where every week you see and hear the improvement. And I want to give you two specifically kudos for what you've put together so far. It's a testament to you guys and your passion. So good job, you two.
Oh, thanks, Tid.
Appreciate it. Thank you. I'm gonna sleep well tonight. All this positive, positive vibes.
What a lovely episode.
Mike's been nice. Yeah. Apart from when we dug him out for his PS5, everything else has been really pleasant.
Why you got to bring out the past?
Wow.
Sorry, we're moving forward. I forget.
Right, yeah.
Well,
so we'll see you, every Monday, and then there's a blog every Friday-ish.
No, Mike, that's incorrect.
Well, change
We're not going to be every. It's every Monday except for next week and the week after and the week after. We're not back until the second week of January.
Every Monday, apart from those other Mondays.
Every Monday after the second week of January, because this is our last episode for Christmas.
Yes. Merry Christmas and goodbye, everyone.
Merry Christmas and goodbye.
FD. FD. FD.